Okay, so Marvel's been on quite an impressive roll this week. Thor: The Dark World came out, which is easily going to be the top movie of the weekend. This week they also debuted their new Miss Marvel. Carol Danvers, the original Miss Marvel, that's the original in quotes, is now Captain Marvel, not to be confused with Shazam. So they're introducing a new one who is a female. It's either referred to as an Arab American or a Muslim, depending on who's writing it. So interesting that they're going to try to do again another more, sorry, I'll put it, another more progressive character, which would be interesting. The initial artwork looks bizarre, but but they also need to deal with Netflix to make 4 miniseries. 4. Daredevil, which would be interesting. It's a character that actually does work. Doesn't work well on a big screen. Because what you have is, you have a lawyer who's blind who fights crime at night. So you can take all the beauty of a really fantastically written show about lawyers, and you can throw in superhero aspects, and it's in New York. And you can also throw in lots of characters. They're pretty much all take place in New York. There's been hints that they're going to be individual series with crossover points, but it will also allow Marvel to do a really good job when it comes to getting other characters involved. People like the Punisher or Kingpin. So they've got a lot of people they can play with. This will also share the same universe as S.H.I.E.L.D. Sharing it with S.H.I.E.L.D. shares with the main universe. Which will be interesting, because that then means that they can do things in S.H.I.E.L.D. that are on the smaller scope, that have light translations to the big screen. Things on the big screen have a light translation to things that happen on the small screen. Daredevil sounds pretty interesting. Should be unique. Jessica Jones. This almost seems like this is that idea of nobody wants to currently make a big budget film focused on a female superhero. Because the previous ones haven't panned out. You can tell me that Electra and Catwoman made more money than certain male-based superheroes and that they were potentially better movies than something like Ghost Rider, but no one is going to soak, $150 to $200 million on a female character currently. They're going to be tough to do. So I think doing the TV show is going to work out probably fairly well. You might notice a few years ago they tried to do a Wonder Woman TV show and people got so up in arms, but when you ironically watch the pilot, it's a decent pilot. Now, the other 2 characters that are going to be introduced in this style is Luke Cage, or Power Man, which is going to be fantastic. This is a character with a super rich background. Framed for a crime he didn't commit, government testing, skin the strength of steel, super strong. They can take him from almost any style. They could do that in almost kind of like a grindhouse. They could do it almost kind of like a more modern age sort of thing, where it's a guy who's just framed guy, gets involved in the government experiment, and becomes ridiculously strong. And ironically, is probably one of the 3 more popular African American superheroes that exist in the Marvel Universe. You've Black Panther, Falcon, and Luke Cage. It'd be interesting. He actually can work that gritty sort of New York beat where he's pretty much cashing checks and breaking necks, and it'll actually work because the superpowers don't require a tremendous amount of special effects, which is going to be great. So you can do a much more character-driven storyline about this guy. Beautifully done. Smart move. You can't have Luke Cage without having Iron Fist. Iron Fist is a fantastic character. Ironically, I prefer my Iron Fist like 70s disco collar, bright green and yellow outfit. Will they go with a Danny Rand, where ironically one of the greatest martial artists in the Marvel Universe is a white guy who's got a very bizarre sort of background? I don't know if they'll go with the he was out with his family doing an expedition. A city that only appears once every, every several decades. and then he goes in there and becomes, you know, the wielder of the Iron Fist. Or if they will take the more modern Brubaker approach, where he's a lot more of a gritty style character and one of the immortal weapons. Shiko's who is an amazing martial artist, who also, depending on the era in which they pick him, is rich. So yes, this is another one of those super rich, owns multiple companies, white guys, who fights crime. However, he has a superpower. He's an amazing martial artist, and he can have the Iron Fist. Out of the four, the Iron Fist is my top one, because I really want to see how they're going to do it. They're going to keep him in New York, which is great, but he works well also on like a Japanese if they want to throw in things like the hand, if they have access to the hand. There's a whole bunch of other characters who have martial arts backgrounds that they could work into that. So, it's actually very, very impressive. When it comes to DC, they have Arrow. Because people just butchered the idea of trying to do a Wonder Woman show. And with Arrow, they throw on enough of the lower characters, you know, the more street lethal. So it would make sense that sooner or later they really, really wanted to. I think the guy who plays Arrow could translate pretty well to a big screen. You know, if Marvel can do it, Marvel can do it very well. There's absolutely no reason why the WB and the CW couldn't do it.